So today we'll be talking about production possibility curve. The P here represents production, the second P is a possibility, and the third C is curve. So what does this curve really show? This is a curve that shows various maximum combination of commodities that could be produced in an economy given the level of resources and prevailing level of technology. So one thing you need to know about this curve is that it shows various maximum combinations. Something like this. The curve is something like this. The shape of this curve is concave because it bows out. It doesn't bow in like this. So if it bows out like this, we say the shape of this curve is concave. You understand what I'm saying? So what he's saying here is that the curve shows various maximum combination. This is a combination. Every point on this curve is a combination. You understand? That means you have combination A, combination B, combination C. You understand what I'm saying now? So every curve, every point on this curve shows maximum combination of two commodities that could be produced in an economy. Let's say this is good Y and this is what? Good X. So this curve is showing the maximum combination of these two commodities that could be produced in an economy. Say this good Y is 5 and combination of good X is what? Let's say 10. So the curve is showing various maximum combination, and we have to consider the level of our resources, factor of production to be used, and the prevailing level of technology. Are we using cutlass and O, or are we using advanced technology to carry out the production? Another thing you need to know about this curve is the slope. The slope, it slopes downward. Because it slopes downward, the curve is showing the presence of opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is simply means alternative forgone. The slope of the production possibility curve shows or explains the cost of producing one commodity for another. In other words, for me to produce more of good X, I need to produce less of Y. That means I need to give up a part of Y. That is opportunity cost. Remember, opportunity cost actually means sacrifice in one word. Opportunity cost means sacrifice. For instance, if I want to move from this point of the curve to this point, maybe from point A to point B, I will have to produce, let's say I move like this now. I will have to produce less of this. I have to produce less of Y in order to produce more of what? X, because I have limited resources. I cannot produce the two at an increasing rate at the same time. So that's the presence of what? For instance, if I want to produce more of X here now, I will have to reduce Y. Let's say I reduce Y to 2. I can produce 13 quantity of this, of commodity X. So that's how opportunity cost works when it comes to the slope of the PPC. There are different names the PPC is called. It can also be called PPF, which means production possibility frontier. It can also be called PPB, which means production possibility boundary. It can also be called transformation curve. Those are other names that it can be called. Production possibility curve can also be called PPF, PPB, and transformation curve. Now, there are three things you need to know about the point on the PPC. Let's say this is a curve. The point inside the curve indicates something. The point on the curve indicates another thing, and the point outside the curve indicates another thing. Let's start from the first one. Anytime you see a point inside the curve, let's say point X. Point X is within this curve. It's inside the curve. It means that there is what? Unemployment. It means there's what? Underemployment of resources. It also means inefficiency. That means if the economy is not doing well, you'll be operating at X. That means there's inefficiency. Inefficiency means there's wastage or there's underutilization of resources. Underutilization of resources. That's what this first one is saying. Any point, let's say point Z, any point, as far as the point is inside the curve, point X, point Z, they all indicate unemployment, underemployment, inefficiency, underutilization of resources. We can say most developing countries like Nigeria, they are operating inside the curve because they are not using their resources efficiently. There's wastage. You understand what I'm saying? So let's talk about the second one. Any point on the PPC, like point A, point B, point C, they are all on the PPC. They indicate another thing. Let's pick point B. It means that if you are operating at point B, it means that you are efficient. There's efficient use of resources. Efficiency. Efficient use of what? Resources. Or another name for it is optimum or optimal. That means you are at the optimum point, or you are at optimal. That means you are using your resources well. Or it also means full employment. That means nobody is unemployed. Everybody that goes to the earth economy gets a job. Example, these advanced countries, they are operating on the PPC. Countries like Canada, country like China. Once you get there, you are fully utilized as a factor of production. You are fully utilized because they use their resources efficiently. So any point, the third one is any point outside the curve. Let's pick a point outside the curve. Let's call it point W. As far as it is outside this production possibility curve, like point W, we'll say that curve, any point outside the curve means that what? We are operating at a point where we call unattainable or infeasible. Or unobtainable. Why can't we get to point W? It's because we have limited technology. We don't have the technology to get there. Let's say you're operating at point A, point B, point C. It means your resources are fully utilized. For instance, if you're working in a farmland, if you guys go to the farmland by 6 a.m. and you work till 6 p.m., no idleness. You work efficiently. You work round the clock. It means that you'll be operating at this point. Let's say after working for the whole day, you guys are producing cassava and you guys ended up producing 300 bags. That means you have worked efficiently, you are producing 300 bags. This point W means if they ask you to produce 1 million bags, you cannot get to that level. Maybe because you guys are operating on a less technology. Maybe you guys are using cutlass and hoe in the farm. You get the point now. That technology is too low to achieve 1 million bag of cassava. So for you to operate outside the curve, you need to do something. You need to improve. You need to improve technology. There has to be what? Improvement in technology for us to operate outside the curve. Or there has to be, number two thing, it has to be what? Economic growth. So anytime we want to ask you a question on this thing, if you are supposed to operate outside the curve, you will need, the only way you can get to this point that is unattainable because of your limited technology, the only way you can get there is to improve technology or to improve economic growth. So all we have just said is to define PPC and to tell you the three most important points on the PPC: the point inside the curve, the point on the curve, and the point outside the curve. So after this video, I'm going to show you guys how to solve practical question on the PPC. So guys, this is where we're going to stop for today.